Hey everyone, Kim here, your plant bestie. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on Emma Sibley's latest book, The Big Book of Houseplants. So, if you have never heard of Emma Sibley, she actually runs London Terrariums and she is like one of the top terrarium experts. She has really awesome classes that you can take. She also has kits and all kinds of stuff if you're in the London area. But she also has published some really great books. And so as soon as I found out she was putting out another book, I pre-ordered it right away and got it in the mail. Super excited. And I gave it a good read through and wanted to give you all my honest opinion and feedback on the book. And I know a lot of us that love indoor plants and indoor gardening, and we always want to learn more about how to care for our plants and learn about what the next plant is that we're looking for to add to our collection. It's really helpful to have books on hand in your home that you can reference. And let's be honest, it's always nice to have some really pretty gardening books on the coffee table or on a bookshelf that you can pull down time to time when you're having a little bit of a relaxation moment and you want to just sit and have coffee or tea and read a book. So I'm going to get into what I thought about her book. So this book was considerably longer than the other books that she has. It's about 250 pages or so, whereas her other ones I think are like around 150. So it's considerably bigger and has a lot more information in it. The other books that she's published previously that I have that I highly recommend as well, The Little Book of Cacti, The Little Book of Houseplants, and The Little Book of Big Plants. Those are all really great books. This is the one I'm going to focus on. I'll do book reviews on those other ones in the future, but I'm going to focus on her most recent one that she published. So the reason I really like this book is I enjoy the way that she kind of broke up the information. A lot of times you'll get books where they kind of drag on in the front telling you about basic 101 plant care kind of things, like in general propagation and watering and lighting and stuff like that. In her book, only the first 27 pages focus on that, and it's a really broad overview. And then after she kind of does a broad overview, then it goes straight into the plant directory, which I really appreciate because that is what you would kind of hope for this kind of book. It seems more like it's a reference guide. And so she goes right into naming particular plants and care for them and information on them. The other thing I really like about it, which I was pleasantly surprised, a lot of times with these indoor houseplant books or reference books or ones that kind of have a listing of all these different plants you could get for your home, a lot of times they won't really bring up cacti or succulents, and if they do, it's not very many of them. It's not a very diverse list of cacti and succulents, and I feel like a lot of books kind of leave that out unless they're specifically a cacti or succulent book. But what I really appreciated about Emma was she not only talked about the more traditional house plants that you would think of, she also touched on some of the more rare plants as well as succulents and cacti. So I really appreciate the fact that she had a really good broad idea of different plants that you could bring into your home, or instead of doing ones that are really only the common ones, she kind of touches all over the place, which is really nice. I really like that. The other thing that I thought was really helpful on how she breaks up each of the pages where she gives information about the plant care is that she went ahead and broke it down into, when I read through the book, I kind of notated what categories she was breaking plant care down into, and I noticed 12 different categories. And the thing I like is she didn't put every single category for every single plant. She kind of focused on the meat and potatoes for each plant. So if there's a particular thing that was more important for a certain plant, she would notate that. As I was going through the book, I kind of notated the 12 categories that I saw time and again for the different plants, just so you can get an idea of what she's going to discuss in the book. So the 12 categories were light, water, humidity, potting, things to watch out for with particular plants. Did you know propagation, pruning, Corks. Corks I really like because there's certain plants that are kind of finicky or they have corks, so that's a good category, I think. Growth, temperature, flowers. So those are the 12 categories that she kind of covers. And again, I appreciate so much that she didn't just put all of those 12 categories onto every plant page and break it down. And I think she kind of focused a lot more on the specificity of each plant and was more specific with the care needs. And I really appreciated that a lot. So I'll kind of show you. I feel like it would just be so much easier if I put you over my shoulder and go through it so you can kind of see what I'm talking about as far as the categories and kind of get an idea for the layout of the book. For myself, it really helps because a lot of times we can't make it to the bookstore. And when you're on Amazon or another online bookshop, it can be really difficult to figure out the layout of a book to know if it's going to be a good fit for you. So I'm just going to put the book down and flip through it with you so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. Now, what I've done is I've gone through the book and I have figured out the specific sections that I was mentioning where she'll talk about lighting or humidity or flowering or propagating for a particular plant that I feel is a really good example. And I'll show you that just so you can get an idea of the layout and the types of plants that she discusses and figure out if it's a good book for you. So let's get going. All right, so I'm just going to flip through Emma Sibley's The Big Book of Houseplants with you so you can kind of get an idea of the layout. So when you first open it up, it has a table of contents here. So introduction, choosing a plant, potting and tools, houseplant placement, adding humidity to your collection, pruning and propagating, repotting, pets and plants, troubleshooting, plant directory, glossary, index, suppliers, and about author. The thing I really like is that she only spends the first 26 or 27 pages going through basic plant care. And as soon as you get to page 28, it's a plant directory. So I really appreciate that. Gets right into the meat and potatoes and gets right to the plant directory. So just keep going to page 27. These are all the troubleshooting and plant help. Then it gets to the plant directory. So from here on, for the rest of the book, it is nothing but really good content and information on the care of different types of plants. So like I was saying with her layout, this is kind of how the layout goes. Every single plant has a blurb at the very top. Then it has the nickname of the plant as well as a scientific name. And then below that, it has a section with information on each plant. Now, the thing I like is she has a total of 12 different types of information that she would have, but she doesn't put it on every single plant. So she has light, water, humidity, potting, watch out for, did you know, propagation, pruning, corks, flowers, growth, and temperature. But the thing I like is she doesn't list that out for every single plant, which is nice. She kind of just jumps into the stuff that is most important for each particular variety of plant. So this one, for example, has light, water, flowers, and propagation. So I'm going to flip through a couple of them that I found really helpful just to give you an idea. First one I'm going to go to is page 42, which is right here. The desert candle. So this is a euphorbia. And at the top it has the blurb. The thing for this one that I thought was interesting was the watch out for. So if you see here, euphorbias typically produce a milky white substance called latex, which can cause skin irritation when touched. This plant also has is moderately poisonous to cats and dogs. So helpful information like that is really, really wonderful and appreciated. And then we're going to go to page 48 for the next example. So this one is angel wings, caladium. So at the top again is the blurb, and then she focuses on light, water, and growth for this one. And the growth I found really helpful. The caladium grows from a tuber. This means that it has 6 months of showy summer season when it flaunts its huge leaves and then drops back into autumn dormancy. When its leaves will drop, they will need to be trimmed right back. But don't be fooled into thinking that this is the end of your plant, throw it away. Instead, let the compost dry out completely and cut the leaves back at the base and store in a cool space until the following spring. So I really like that she focuses on the crucial, important things of each plant because every plant has some things that are more particular than others. So let's go to 60. 60, she had a really good example on potting. So this is a crocodile fern, really cool looking fern. At the top again, it's got the blurb on the plant, water, potting, and temperature is what she focused on this one. And potting I found interesting for this one. The crocodile fern has a very shallow root structure and survives without being repotted often. The fern is actually known for being an air plant, which means its natural habitat is designed to grow attached to the trunks of trees high in forest canopy. So stuff like this is like information you probably wouldn't find on the actual plant tag. So it's really helpful to have a book like this, because then you can look up this stuff. The next one that I found helpful was on page 78. So I'm going to flip through to 78 with you here. So 78 is the fishbone cactus. And this one was focusing on water and potting. And for this particular one, the watering, this I found interesting. Although part of the cactus family, this plant originates from the dense, humid rainforest. So usual cactus care should be disregarded when it comes to watering. Ensure the compost is kept moist throughout the year. And during the winter months, let the top compost dry out slightly between waterings. It also likes high humidity. So that's another thing you might not find on a plant tag. So another reason to have Emma's book. It's really great and helpful. Just a couple more. So if you go to 98, this is another really good example. I'm just kind of showing you some examples of the 12 categories of care that she broke down. So this is a twisted barrel cactus, and this one, water, flowers, propagation, and did you know? This one I thought the did you know was interesting. This aggressive looking cactus produces cream or purple blossoms, which can attract butterflies and bees if kept outside. Also can produce edible fruits. Kind of cool. And then lastly, 168 was a good example of flowering. So 168 is the grape ivy. Looks like a really fun plant. And as always, her photography is really cool. I like the variety of the plants and the pots that she puts them in. So this one, grape ivy, light, water, flowers, and propagation. This one I thought was interesting with the flowers. May flower throughout the summer. However, you'll have to watch closely to witness a cluster of small white flowers or yellow blooms that line the stems at the base of the leaves. Super cool. So that is the plant glossary. So I'll just kind of, our plant directory, I should say, is what she called it, as you flip through kind of the layout. Now, when you get to the very back, she has a helpful page with suppliers, as well as her biography, a little about her. So I thought it was a really good book. I really like how informative it is, as well as how simple it is to follow, and you can find information really quickly. So I thought it was a great book. I thought it would make a good addition to anybody's plant book collection. The other books that she has out is a little book of cacti. This is another great one. I should probably do a review on all these other ones. This one's great. And she is actually a member of the British Succulent and Cactus Society, I believe. So she has a lot of knowledge about cactus and succulents. The Little Book of Houseplants. So there's this one as well. She always has really pretty photos. And then this one, Little Book, Big Plants. So I highly recommend that you check out Emma Sibley. She's got really great books. She's a wealth of information. And yeah, that is my book review. So hopefully that helped you kind of see the layout of Emma's book and decide if it's a book that you want to buy and add to your collection. I highly recommend it. I thought it was a really great read. I like the layout. I like how she focused on the really key aspects of care for each plant instead of bombarding you with a ton of information. It's kind of more focused on the really important aspects. I liked that only the first 27 pages were general information, and then she jumps right into the plant directory. The whole rest of the book is plant directory, which I really appreciated. And it did have a lot of information that I had never known before. So totally useful, really beautiful photos, highly recommend. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And if there is any book that you're on the fence about for indoor plant care, be sure to leave it in the comments below and let me know the name of the book and the author. I would love to review it and see what I think about it and give you my honest opinion and feedback and also flip through the book with you to let you see how the structure is and if it would be a good fit for you and what you need for your plant books that you're getting for your collection. So again, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And if you could like the video and subscribe to my channel, that would be awesome. That way more people see it and I can get all of this lovely plant goodness information out there in the world. Thank you so much. Bye.